أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والسماء والطارق. والسماء والطارق. وما أدراك ما الطارق. النجم الثاقب. إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ. إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ. فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق. خلق من ماء دافق. يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب. إنه على رجعه لقادر. يوم تبلى السرائر. يوم تبلى السرائر. فما له من قوة ولا ناصر. والسماء ذات الرجع. والأرض ذات الصدع. إنه لقول فصل. وما هو بالهزل. إنهم يكيدون كيدا. وأكيد كيدا. فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا. The author says, Surat At-Taariq, the Qur'anic chapter called At-Taariq. It's a Meccan surah containing 17 ayats. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Was-Samaa'i wat-Taariq. By the sky and by the piercing star. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الطَّارِقُ. And what made you know, O Muhammad, what's the piercing star? النَّجْمُ الثَّاقِبُ. It is the star whose light pierces the darkness. عَظَّمَ قَدْرَ السَّمَاءِ فِي أَعْيُنِ الْخَلْقِ. In this first verse, Allah magnifies the status of the sky in the eyes of the creations. He makes the sky grand in the eyes of the creations by swearing by it. Was-sama, by the sky, as if God says, I swear by the sky. لِكَوْنِهَا مَعَدِنَ رِزْقِهِمْ. Because the sky is the mine of their sustenance, the mine. You find in the mine, don't you dig some commodity out of the mine that was stored away in there? The sky is the mine of the creatures' sustenance, those creatures on earth. Meaning that the rainfall comes from the sky and brings forth their sustenance. وَسَكَنَ مَلَائِكَتِهِ. And the sky is the home of God's angels. وَفِيهَا خَلَقَ الْجَنَّةِ. And in the upper world, the garden was created. The garden was created in the upper world. فَأَقْسَمَ بِهَا. And so Allah swore by the sky. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ وَبِالطَّارِقِ. And he swore by the Tariq. وَالْمُرَادُ جِنْسُ النُّجُومِ. What's meant by the Tariq is stars, the stars as a type of thing, the type of creation called stars. Oh, jinsu shuhub, or the Tariq refers to that type of creation, which is the shooting star. Allati yurjamu biha, that shooting star which is used for pelting. What does that mean? It means that the devils, they used to be able to go up into the sky freely until Muhammad was born, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Then when Muhammad was born, Allah put sentries in the sky. That means guards. He put guards in the sky, sentries. Those are angels. So now those devils, they cannot ascend into the heavens like they used to. So what do? They go up into the heavens and they attempt to eavesdrop on the angels to see if they can get any news of the unseen. If they get caught, an angel will take a handful of a star and throw it at them. If a devil gets caught eavesdropping, an angel will take a handful of a star and throw it at that devil. That's the shooting star, the shuhub. Ash-shuhub allati yurjamu biha, the shooting stars that are used for pelting the devils. لِعِظَمِ مَنْفَعَتِهَا, Allah swore by these things for their great benefit. ثُمَّ فَسَّرَهُ بِالنَّجْمِ الثَّاقِبِ, then in the third ayah, Allah gave the interpretation of what's the Tariq. He explained it as An-Najmu Thaqib, the piercing star. So you should know that the Quran has Tafsir in it of other parts of the Quran. Something would be mentioned in the Quran, and then the explanation of that thing would be somewhere in the Quran. Here we found it right there in the same surah. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ, by the sky and by the Tariq. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الطَّارِقُ, and what will make you know what's the Tariq? Allah tells us, النَّجْمُ الثَّاقِبِ, the piercing star. أي المضيء, meaning it's brilliant, shining. كأنه يثقب الظلام بضوئه, it's like it pierces the darkness by its light. فينفذ فيه, and so its light penetrates the darkness. ووصف بالطارق لأنه يبدو بالليل, and this piercing star was described as being a tariq, which apparently means something that comes. Tariq is something that yatruq, something that comes. Why? Because it appears against the darkness of night. كما يقال للآتي ليلا طارق, just like something that comes at night is called tariq. What comes at night is called tariq. أو لأنه يطرق الجنية أي يسقه, or this piercing star was called At-Taariq because it hits the genie. Yani, because it smacks, it collides with the genie. And as you know, whenever you have a swear, then what? When you have a swear, then what? Who'll tell us? Because we keep saying it, so I want someone to tell me. When we find a swear, then what? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When we find a swear, we want to know what's being sworn about. If someone just came in the room and said, Wallahi, I swear to God, and then he just shut his mouth and sat down, you say, what are you talking about? Because if you swear, then you should be swearing about something. So Allah here, He swore by the sky and He swore by the Tariq, the piercing star. What is it that's being sworn about? وَجَوَابُ الْقَسَمِ إِن كُلُّ نَفْسٍ لَمَّا عَلَيْهَا حَافِظٌ. There is no soul but that it has a recorder or a guardian, a hafiz, or a monitor, an observer. There's no soul, Yani, there's no individual but that this individual has an angel over it. لأن لما إن كانت مشددة بمعنى إلا. This one here, the way we recited it, لما, with a shadda on the meme, the doubled meme. So we didn't say lama, we said lamma. Like that, it means illa, except, or but. كقراءة عاصم وحمزة وابن عامر فتكون إن نافية. So then this word in is a negator. So it means not. So in is a negator, not. And lamma is an exception, illa. So then the meaning is there is not a soul, but that over it there's a hafiz. أي ما كل نفس إلا عليها حافظ. Like I just said. وإن كانت مخففة. But if this one, لما, if it were lightened, كقراءة غيرهم, like the recitation of some, يعني it was recited lightened, so then it would be لما إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ فتكون إن مخففة من الثقيلة. Then in here is not a negator. If this lamma is actually lama, then in here is not a negator. It's an emphasizer, and it's originally inna, but lost its shadda, so it just became in. Innahu would be innahu. Indeed, the affair, the matter of fact is that كل نفس لما عليها يعني لا عليها حافظ. إن مخففة فتكون إن مخففة من الثقيلة أي إن كل نفس لعليها حافظ, meaning indeed every soul there is certainly over it a hafiz, a guardian, a protector. يحفظها من الآفات, protecting that self, that soul from sicknesses. أو يحفظ عملها, or this hafiz means one who records its deeds, a recorder of its deeds. ورزقها, and a recorder of its provisions. وأجلها, and a recorder of its death time. فإذا استوفى ذلك مات. And then when that soul fulfills all of that, Yani, when that soul fulfills all of the deeds that were predestined for it and consumes all of the sustenance that was predestined for it, and then meets its death time, it dies. That individual dies. وَقِيلَ هُوَ كَاتِبُ الْأَعْمَالِ, and it was said that Hafiz here refers to the recorder of the deeds. فَمَا زَائِدَةٌ وَاللَّامُ فَارِقَةٌ بَيْنَ الثَّقِيلَةِ وَالْخَفِيفَةِ. What he's saying is, إِن كُلُّ نَفْسٍ لَمَا عَلَيْهَا حَافِظٌ, reciting without a shadda here, lama, then he says ma is extra. So it's like the lamb goes right to alayha. In kullu nafsin la alayha hafiz, and the ma is extra. Fama zaida. واللام فارقة بين الثقيلة والخفيفة. This lamb then would be making us know that in is originally with a shadda. So if that's not clear for you, don't worry about it. But if you know the Arabic of what I'm saying, then it's clear for you what I'm saying. But the tafsir, I said it. So It's okay. The meaning of the ayah has been conveyed. وحافظ مبتدأ وعليها خبر والجملة خبر كل. So in كل نفس لما or لما عليها حافظ, every soul has over it a hafiz. So this word hafiz, although it's at the end of the ayah, it's really the subject of a sentence. And this word alayha is the predicate. So it's like saying hafizun alayha in kullu nafsin illa wa hafizun alayha illa wa yujadu hafizun alayha, but got reversed. In kullu nafsin lamma alayha hafiz wal jumlatu khabaru kull. And this whole sentence here, lamma alayha hafiz, there is a guardian over it, there's a hafiz over it. This whole sentence is a predicate for kull. Every soul, there's a hafiz over it. So that's a sentence inside of a sentence. In kullu nafsin lamma alayha hafiz, or in kullu nafsin lamma alayha hafiz. Indeed, every soul, that's a subject by itself. Over it, there's a hafiz. That whole sentence is the predicate. وأيتهما كانت فهي مما يتلقى به القسم. Whichever way you want to explain, this is the subject of the swear. This is what's being sworn about. فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق. So let the human look. From what was he created? So فلينظر الإنسان. So let the human look. That's a sentence by itself. Then مما خلق. From what was he created? That's a question. لما ذكر أن على كل نفس حافظا. When Allah mentioned that every soul has a hafiz over it, أمره بالنظر في أول أمره. Allah commanded the human to look at, meaning to ponder on, the inception of his own affair. ليعلم أن من أنشأه قادر على إعادته. Or ليعلم 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 أن من أنشأه قادر على إعادته, so that the human would know that the one who initiated his existence has the power to restore him. وَجَزَائِهِ, and has the power to pay him for his deeds. فَيَعْمَلُ لِيَوْمِ الْجَزَاءِ, so then let the human work for the day of payment. وَلَا يُمْلِي عَلَى حَافِظِهِ إِلَّا مَا يَسُرُّهُ فِي عَاقِبَتِهِ, and let him not dictate to his scribe that writes down all that he does, but what will please him in the end. That's interesting. Yani, he gives us here, he makes us see, the author, that is An-Nasafiyy rahimahullah, he makes us see ourselves as people who do deeds and get their deeds recorded, like people who are dictating to a scribe so that the scribe would write what is being dictated. So you're doing something for the scribe to write down is like you're dictating to him. He says, وَلَا يُمْلِي عَلَى حَافِظِهِ إِلَّا مَا يَسُرُّهُ فِي عَاقِبَتِهِ. Let one not dictate to his scribe, but what shall please him in the end. وَمِمَّا خُلِقَ istifham. And this part, مِمَّا خُلِقَ, from what was he created? That's a question. أي من أي شيء خلق, meaning from what thing was he created? So here, that being a question, let me take you back to the ayah here. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ, let the human look. So this word فَلْيَنْظُرْ, let him look, that's a verb. This is a type of verb that needs an object, a direct object. Yani something being looked at. Let him look. Look at what? مِمَّا خُلِقَ. From what was he created? But this part here looks like that's the thing being looked at, right? It is. But it's not a single thing. It's an entire question that's receiving the action of the looking. It's an entire question. Let him look. Look at what? From what was he created? That's a question, not an object that he's going to look at. And the meaning of the looking here is thinking. Let him think about from what was he created. The Wahhabi mistranslation of the Quran that they call the Noble Quran, this ayah, they translated, let the human being look at that from which he was created! Exclamation point. So that's wrong tafsir right there. That's a mistake. And the source of that mistake is not being strong in the grammar. They just translated whatever appeared to them. Let the human being look at from what he was created. They didn't realize that's a question there. Let the human being look from what was he created. Yani, let him think and ponder. So what is that then? Jawabuhu, the answer came in the next ayah. خُلِقَ مِن مَّاءٍ دَافِقٍ. He was created from gushing water. He was created from gushing water. Water that's dafiq, gushing. Dafiq comes from the word daf. وَالدَّفْقُ صَبٌّ فِيهِ دَفَعٌ. Dafq is a pouring that has in it pushing. A pouring, yani a pouring forth that has a forceful trajectory. A pouring forth with a forceful trajectory. So what's meant here is the ejaculated fluid. That's the gushing water, the ejaculated fluid. وَالدَّفْقُ فِي الْحَقِيقَةِ لِصَاحِبِهِ. And in a literal sense, the dafq is not for the fluid, it's for the person who released the fluid. In reality, the fluid is what was gushed. So what we could translate here as gushing water means gushed water, which is water here means the seminal fluid or ejaculated fluid of men and women. وَالْإِسْنَادُ إِلَى الْمَاءِ مَجَازٌ. To refer to this gushing as the quality of the fluid is a type of figure of speech, because the fluid is gushed. Yani, what he's saying here is the person is the gusher. The person is the gusher and the fluid is what's gushed. That's the meaning that An-Nasafiyy is saying. وعن بعض أهل اللغة دفقت الماء دفقا صببته ودفق الماء بنفسه أي انصب. Some people of the language said that they said what means that this is possible to not be a figure of speech. Just you can say it this way. That's a paraphrase there. وَلَمْ يَقُلْ مِنْ مَاءَيْنِ. And in this ayah, Allah didn't say that the human was created from two fluids. He mentioned one fluid, ma'in dafiq. لِامْتِزَاجِهِمَا فِي الرَّحِمِ. Why? Because both fluids, the man's fluid and the woman's fluid, fuse in the womb. وَاتِّحَادِهِمَا حِينَ ابْتُدِئَ فِي خَلْقِهِ. And they become one as the onset of the human's creation. يَخْرُجُ مِنْ بَيْنِ الصُّلْبِ وَالتَّرَائِبِ. It comes from its source, the source of this gushed fluid is from between the spine and the ribs. من صلب الرجل, the spine of the man. وترائب المرأة, and the ribs of the woman. Yani, that's the source of ejaculated fluid for men and women. The men's ejaculated fluid, its source is the spine. And the woman's ejaculated fluid, its source is her ribs. So for the man, when he ejaculates, it slides from his spine and settles into the womb. وَهِيَ عِظَامُ الصَّدْرِ, and those ribs of the woman, what's meant is the bones of the chest. The bones of the chest. حَيْثُ تَكُونُ الْقِلَادَةِ, where the necklace would be. The bones of the chest where the necklace would be. So around the sternum, the chest plate. وَقِيلَ الْعَظْمُ وَالْعَصَبُ مِنَ الرَّجُلِ وَاللَّحْمُ وَالدَّمُ مِنَ الْمَرْأَةِ. And it was said that the bone and the nerve of the child comes from the man, and the flesh and the blood of the child come from the woman. It was said that the bone and the nerve come from the man, and the flesh and the blood come from the woman. And here I have some commentary from Sheikh here. I'll just paraphrase, which is that it's important that you know that we believe that women have ejaculated fluid, not eggs. We don't say women have eggs. And there's no real evidence for that. There's not real evidence for that. Just really quick here. There's some ways to know things. There's ways to have knowledge. One way to have knowledge is witnessing, to see something, or to hear something, or to sense it by any of your sound senses. That will give you knowledge. And one way is by intuition, and one way is by deduction. You can get knowledge by proper deduction. You can get knowledge by intuition. That means you're going to know it automatically. You can get knowledge by sound senses. You can get knowledge by truthful information. Truthful information being either mutawatir, successive mass report, or the news of a prophet. All of these are ways to have 100% correct knowledge. So when it comes to human eggs, doesn't fall under any of those. The confirmation of human eggs, the way to confirm that, or however someone claimed to know that, it wasn't by any of these means. Neither by observation by senses, because microscope doesn't count here. Observation by senses. No, in other words, nobody ever saw human eggs by any normal means, by any regular means, or by intuition. No, you don't know that intuitively. Or by deduction. There's no rational deduction to conclude that women have eggs. Or by successive mass report. There's nothing like that. Or by the news of a prophet. There's nothing like that. So it's a theory. Human eggs, that's a theory. Rather, what do women have? As mentioned in the Quran and in the Sunnah, what the Muslims believe, women have ejaculated fluid like men have ejaculated fluid. And that's witnessed also. So that's what's correct. Then that fluid, the fluid of the man and the fluid of the woman, they mix, they fuse. That's called zygote. It's going to make what's called zygote. And then it sticks to the womb, to one of the walls of the womb. It will stick there and then start developing. إِنَّهُ عَلَى رَجْعِهِ لَقَادِرٌ. Indeed, he, yani the creator. How do we know he means the creator here? As proven by لِدِلَالَةِ خُلِقَ عَلَيْهِ. As proven by what came in the ayah, خُلِقَ مِمَّا. He was created from fluid. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. Let the human look, yani ponder. From what was he created? خُلِقَ. From what was he خُلِقَ? Created. خُلِقَ مِن مَّاءٍ دَافِقٍ. He was خُلِقَ, created from gushing water. Then, إِنَّهُ, indeed he, who's he? Al-Khaliq, the creator, because we knew that because of what came. خُلِقَ. ومعناه إن الذي خلق الإنسان ابتداء من نطفة على رجعه على إعادته خصوصا لقادر. The meaning is, indeed, the creator, the one who created the human, initially, he created the human from a zygote, that mixed fluid, that those two fluids that bonded and then stuck to the woman's womb. This one who created the human from this, he is ala raji'ihi laqadir, over the human being, yani over his return. He is over the human's return, his restoration in particular to life, his resurrection. He is powerful. He is powerful. Labayinul qudra. He has obvious power to restore this one that he created from a zygote. La ya'jizu anhu. He is not disabled from that. And some said this means innahu ala raji'ihi laqadir. Indeed, he, Allah, the creator, over reversing the human's development, he is certainly powerful. Meaning, didn't he tell us that he created the human from gushing fluid that originated from the spine and the ribs? So then what happens? That fluid, it bonds in the womb and then develops, turns into a blood clot, then turns into a flesh clump, and then turns into bones. And then Allah puts flesh over the bones. And then it develops stage after stage. Then flips upside down, comes out of its mother ignorant, then grows from a newborn baby to toddler, and then to little kid, and then to young person, then to a young adult, and then to middle-aged adult, and then to old age senior. Innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. He has the power. This one who created him has the power to reverse that and bring him back the way he came. He has the power to turn that old person into a middle-aged person, and then to a young adult, and then to a child, and then to a toddler, and then turn him back into a sperm drop. لقادر لبين القدرة. He has obvious power. كقوله إنني لفقير أي لبين الفقر. Like for someone to say, I am indeed lafaqir, certainly poor, meaning obviously poor. But the way this is worded here, Shaykh says, rahimahullah, قال الشيخ هذه العبارة ليست مستقيمة. There's something not right about the way this is worded here. لعل هناك سقط. As if there is here something that's missing, something fell out of the text or got lost in the transcription. لعل الأصل كقول القائل. Maybe what it originally was saying was, it's like for someone to say, that's the way I translated it for you. I translated it initially the way Sheikh is suggesting that it probably is supposed to be. Because Sheikh's saying there's something wrong with the way it's worded here. وَنُصِبَ يَوْمَ تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرُ. And the day when the secrets are exposed. نُصِبَ يَوْمَ بِرَجْعِهِ. The day when the secrets are exposed. Yawma, this fatha here, yawma, that fatha, yawm means day. That fatha there on the word yawm, it means that something is happening during that day. There is something, some action that's making the word yawm have a fatha there? Which action is making the word yawm have a fatha there? The word raj'ihi, innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir, yawma tubla sarair. So the meaning is, indeed he is over bringing him back, certainly powerful on the day. So bringing him back on the day, the secrets are exposed. A tukshaf, tubla a tukshaf, the day when the secrets are exposed. أو بمضمر دل عليه قوله رجعه أي يبعثه يوم تبلى. So it means approximately. What I just read here in Arabic means approximately what I already translated. So I'm just going to skip it for now. And what are the secrets? The secrets that shall be exposed. What are the secrets? ما أسر في القلوب, that which was hidden away in the hearts. من العقائد والنيات وما أخفي من الأعمال, whether convictions and intentions and the deeds that were done secretly. Deeds that were done secretly or in privacy, yani, not openly, the deeds that were not done openly. Those secrets of the heart shall be exposed on that day. They shall be brought out. And we'll see some other ayahs that mean like that also. وَحُصِّلَ مَا فِي الصُّدُورِ, that's going to come. فَمَا لَهُ مِن قُوَّةٍ وَلَا نَاصِرٍ. And so the human does not have فَمَا لِلْإِنسَانِ مِنْ قُوَّةٍ, any power في نفسه على دفع ما حل به. He will not have any power within himself to repel what befalls him on that day. وَلَا نَاصِرٍ, nor any defender, يُعِينُهُ وَيَدْفَعُ عَنْهُ. He won't have any defender who will help him or protect him. وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الرَّجْعِ, by the sky, that sky that has returning rain, أي المطر. وَسُمِّيَ بِهِ لِعَوْدِهِ كُلَّ حِينٍ. The rain in this ayah was called raj'a, something that returns, because it comes back from time to time, every now and then. وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتِ الصَّدْعِ, and by the earth that has cracks. هُوَ مَا تَتَصَدَّعُ عَنْهُ الْأَرْضُ مِنَ النَّبَاتِ. Here Allah swears by what splits the earth, the plants that crack the earth when they come forth. You know that even if you live in towns, developed towns with cement, the cement doesn't even stop those plants from cracking the ground and breaking out. إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلٌ فَصْلٌ. Indeed, in Al-Quran, the Quran is certainly a decisive statement. فَاصِلٌ بَيْنَ الْحَقِّ وَالْبَاطِلِ, decisively distinguishing between truth and falsehood. كَمَا قِيلَ لَهُ فُرْقَانٌ, just like the Quran is called Furqan. That's one of the names of the Quran, the Furqan. Al-Quran is the Furqan. The meaning here that the Quran is qawlun fasl, it means like calling the Quran the Furqan, meaning the distinguisher, that which distinguishes the truth from the falsehood. The Torah was also called Furqan, for your information. وَمَا هُوَ بِالْهَزْلِ, and it is not at all a joke. This Quran, it is not at all a joke. بِاللَّعِبِ وَالْبَاطِلِ, it's not a game and it's not falsehood. يعني أنه جد كله, he means that this Quran is serious, all of it. ومن حقه وقد وصفه الله بذلك أن يكون مهيبا في الصدور. And Allah described the Quran like this, that the Quran is very serious, so that the hearts would have respect for the Quran and awe for the Quran, mu'azzaman fil qulub, so that it would be aggrandized in the hearts. Yartafi'u bihi qari'uhu wa sami'uhu. And then the one who recites the Quran will be elevated, and the one who hears the Quran will be elevated. أن يلم بهزل أو يتفكه بمزاح. Yani will be elevated from treating this Quran like it's some joke or some mere entertainment. Something like that. That's maybe not the best translation. إِنَّهُمْ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا. Indeed, they, يعني mushriki Mecca, the Meccan pagans, يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا, they scheme, a scheme. يَعْمَلُونَ الْمَكَايِدِ في إبطال أمر الله. They plot schemes to nullify the command of Allah or the affair of Allah, yani this religion of Allah, وإطفاء نور الحق, and to extinguish, to put out the light of truth. وأكيد كيدا, and Allah says وأكيد كيدا. If you translate it very literally, it would say, and I scheme a scheme. So if you translate these words by themselves, إنهم يكيدون كيدا وأكيد كيدا. Indeed, they scheme a scheme, and I scheme a scheme. Doesn't mean, though, that Allah is attributed with scheming. That's a linguistic convention, as we're going to explain. وَأُجَازِيهِمْ جَزَاءَ كَيْدِهِمْ. What it means is, I will punish them. I will pay them for their scheming. That's the meaning of what would be translated as I scheme a scheme. It means I'll get them for their scheming. Istidraji lahum, by luring them. Min haythu la ya'lamun, by luring them in such a way that they do not know. What does that mean, that Allah lures you? May Allah protect us. We seek refuge with Allah from the istidraj. His luring you is when He lets you get away with something, and then you thought you got away with something. So then He gives you another opportunity. So then you're going to do something else, and then you're going to do something else until you're caught. You fell into the trap, the punishment. Allah Ta'ala will lure them in a way that they do not expect, and then they will be surprised by some unsuspected punishment. فَسُمِّيَ جَزَاءُ الْكَيْدِ كَيْدًا. And so the payment for the scheming, the payment for their scheming was called here in the ayah a scheme. But it's not a scheme, it's a payment for the scheme. It's punishing them for their scheme. كما سمي جزاء الاعتداء والسيئة اعتداء وسيئة. Just like in some ayahs, Allah called the payment for transgression. Like it could be said, if someone transgresses against you, you transgress against him. But actually, you're not transgressing. You're within your rights because he transgressed against you. So it's not a transgression on your part. So to say, if he transgressed against you, you transgress against him, that's a convention in the language. It means pay him back for his transgression. وَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ اعْتِدَاءً وَسَيِّئَةً وَلَا يَجُوزُ إِطْلَاقُ هَذَا الْوَصْفِ عَلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And it's not permissible to take this as evidence that Allah has an attribute called scheming. إِلَّا عَلَى وَجْهِ الْجَزَاءِ. It's only permissible to use such an expression in this way of matching the words to mean payment. كَقَوْلِهِ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَنَسِيَهُمْ. It's like when Allah said this ayah, نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَنَسِيَهُمْ. If you translate it literally, it would mean they forgot Allah, so He forgot them. It means they neglected to obey Allah, so He will leave them in hell. So it doesn't mean that He's attributed with forgetfulness. That's a convention in the language. And and يخادعون الله وهو خادعهم. It means they act as if to deceive Allah, and He deceives them. It means He will punish them for their attempting to deceive God or acting as if they deceive Him. And also, Allah says, Allahu yastahzi'u bihim. Literally, it means Allah belittles them or Allah makes fun of them. Doesn't mean He has an attribute called making fun. But it means Allah will punish them for their making fun of the believers. There's words before this ayah. That's from Surah Al-Baqarah. So, إِنَّهُمْ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا. Indeed, they scheme a scheme. وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا. And I will pay them for their scheming. I will punish them in a way that they do not expect for their scheming. فَمَهِّلِ الْكَافِرِينَ أَمْهِلْهُمْ رُوَيْدًا. So delay the disbelievers, O Muhammad. لَا تَدْعُوا بِهَلَاكِهِمْ. Don't pray for them to be exterminated. وَلَا تَسْتَعْجِلْ بِهِ. And don't rush for their eradication to come upon them. أَمْهِلْهُمْ. Wait. Delay them. أَنظِرْهُمْ. فكرر وخالف بين اللفظين لزيادة التسكين والتصبير. There was reiteration here. فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم. Delay the disbelievers. Wait and delay them. So it was repeated to give the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam additional serenity and perseverance. Ruwaida mahlan yasira. Just wait for a little bit, O Muhammad. ولا يتكلم بها إلا مصغرة. This word ruwaid, you only say it this way, ruwaid, in the form of tasghir, miniaturization. That's something in the Arabic language. وهي من رادت الريح ترود رودا. تحركت حركة ضعيفة. It comes from saying, for example, radat الريح. The wind radat, meaning the wind blew weakly, gently, not strongly. So the meaning here is just give them a little bit of respite, Muhammad. Just wait, be patient. Sadaqallahu al-azim. That's the end of the surah, right on time. Wallahu a'lam. Allah knows best. Do you have any question I can answer for you?
I have a question from the ayat 7, when it was talking about stemming from between the backbone and rib cage. When you were talking about the bone and the nerve coming from the man and the flesh and the blood coming from the woman, this is just for clarification. Is this taken from the tafsir of the verse from the Quran? And how is that, like, can you explain how that came from that? Like the blood and the nerve came, and the bone and nerve came from the man and the flesh and the blood came from the woman? Like, how is it derived?
It was said. He didn't say, for sure this is the case. He said, waqil, it was said. العظم والعصب من الرجل واللحم والدم من المرأة. The bone and the nerve is from the man, and the flesh and the blood is from the woman. That comes from some of the reports from some of the older ones, from like the Tabi'un, for example. They have some reports about those things. So he mentioned it here. Question here. Just to clarify, the reports of the Tabi'in about verse 7 was mutawatir. Well, you don't have to go there because he said qila. Qila means it was said. So it doesn't mean that that's something you have to put great conviction into it. When the author said qila, it was said, means that you don't have to like take that as something that's major aqidah for you. You have to believe that it was said. So that's among what was said. There's many things were said.
Yeah, I just wanted to
So
clarify that. I confused it the first time. I thought you were like it was said this and we had to believe. I was like, oh, okay. I wanted to clarify just to make sure about that.
question. I have a question about the plurality in the Quran. Do you know why the heavens are mentioned in plural but the earth is not, even though there are multiple? Yes. When the earth is mentioned singularly, although there's multiple earths, then what's meant is the type, so that all of them would be included. That's what I know. Is it just to specify this earth? No, it's not just to specify this earth. It is a reference to the type. Heavens and earth. Yani, it basically means the upper world and the lower world. بارك الله فيكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك